Hey guys, this is assignment 3 for History and Philosophy of Psychology, my oral presentation. I hope you enjoy. The topic I wanted to talk about today was social identity theory, SIT, from an article written by Turner, Brown and Tafel in 1979 called Social Companion and Group Interest in In-Group Favoritism. It was published in the European Journal of Social Psychology. But before we get going, I just want to dedicate this presentation, this work, to a current campaign that I'm working on in the National Fire Ant Eradication Program, which currently contravenes fundamental human rights, private property rights, and individual choice to toxic chemical exposure. So I'm campaigning to create positive change and for my community. But what is social identity theory? Social identity theory was developed by Henry Tafel and John Turner in 1979. It explains how individuals form part of their identity through group membership. The key idea is people derived part of their self-concept from their social groups that they belong to, leading in-group favoritism and out-group discrimination. And under certain circumstances, this can drive social change. The key idea of social identity theory is group categorization and the fact that it can lead to in-group versus out-group dynamics, prejudice and discrimination, but also solidarity and collective action. So the driver of history for social identity theory has to be talked about in regards to perspective. And to do this, they talk about the spirit of the time and the spirit of the place. They use these terms, which are German, and forgive my pronunciation, but Zeitgeist is the spirit of the time. So it was a post-war time, and people were still trying to come to terms with what had happened and the horrors of the wars, both World War I and World War II. And they're trying to understand how these conflicts occurred and how to prevent it from occurring in the future. And they're trying to rationalize things like the racism, nationalism, and genocide that occurred. So the spirit of the place, August, is a European academic scene, especially around social psychology. The great person, as previously mentioned, was Henry Tafel, whose personal history and academic vision shaped this theory. When it comes to the historical context of social identity theory, it's important to understand how and why did the theory emerge. The motivation behind it. The great person, Henry Tafel, was a Holocaust survivor. He was deeply influenced by the consequences of group-based hatred. He wanted to gain an understanding of the prejudice and discrimination and conflict that occurred during the wars. It was a shift in psychology at the time and a response to individualistic theories, e.g. authoritarian personality theories. And he moved focus towards social context and group dynamics as an extension of social psychology. The linear progression of social identity theory started from the individual-based models, moved to the social identity models, and then forward to what we see today, collective action research. There's also links to contact theory and intergroup reconciliation. So the contemporary extension of social identity theory has evolved into what we know now as social identity model and collective action, SIMCA, SIMCA. We've all heard of Black Lives Matters, guys. Black Lives Matters, that was a big campaign. The Me Too movement, all these big social campaigns that are used to initiate change in society. And this theory explains why people protest or resist oppression based on shared group identities. Social identity helps us understand both conflict and cooperation within and between groups. The antecedents and consequences of social identity theory. So the antecedents are the prerequisites to the theory, which were realistic conflict theory, authoritarian theory, and personality and other personality theories, and also minimal group experimentation. And a consequence of social identity theory is we were able to explain prejudice, nationalism, and radicalization. It formed as a basis for modern diversity training, social movement psychology, and de-radicalization programs. It influenced theories like Simca and identity fusion. Relationships to frameworks in psychology. So social identity theories reject behavioralism. It's not based on stimulus to negative or positive stimuli or environmental impacts from senses. It also rejects individualism and the personality theories. It aligns with social constructivism and cognitivism to some extent. When people experience positive emotions, it can be linked to many aspects of life, but a social connection to people in a group environment creates positive emotions, which there's neurological effects that are occurring inside your brain, because as humans we are very social creatures, and social connection has a big part to play in the balance and positive emotions. So cognitivism is a key part of aligning with social identity theory. It's also related to functionalism, which is group cohesion, neuroscience, and it mirrors neurons and empathy research. Social identity theory has a strong empirical base. There's minimal group experiments and cross-cultural studies, quantitative synthesis. It is falsifiable and testable outcomes for the research. You can predict when group behavior will become discriminatory or lead to collective action. Social identity theory, it meets Stanovic's 3 criteria: systematic imperialism, public knowledge, having peer-reviewed research, and its testable and falsifiable claims. Ways of knowing is experimental from TAFL studies, applied fieldwork on protests, and theoretical synthesis. Social identity theory is still highly active in today's modern world. It's used in protest psychology, diversity, and inclusion. It can help with conflict resolution and de-radicalization studies. It extends to collective action, CIMCA, identity fusion, de-radicalization, and intergroup conflicts and reconciliation theories. Yeah, guys, I just want to acknowledge some references that we used throughout this presentation. Dumont and Lau, 2009, Stadovic, 2004, Van Zieman, Post and Spears, 2008, and of course our original article that we started discussions on. Thanks for joining me today, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation about social identity theory. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions and would like more information. Kind regards.